Disclaimer: this story contains mature themes intended for adult viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. The evening had that soft golden glow that always makes the house feel warmer than it is. Rain tapped gently on the windows, and the faint scent of lavender oil drifted through the bedroom, the kind of quiet night where everything slows down and even silence feels intimate. I lay face down on the bed, wrapped in a towel, waiting for the massage I'd asked my husband to give me after a long, exhausting day. When he walked in, he didn't say a word. Our eyes met for a second, longer than usual, deeper than it should have been, and there was something in his gaze I couldn't quite name. Calm, maybe. Or maybe it was the way his smile didn't quite reach his lips, as if he was thinking something he wasn't ready to say aloud. My heart gave a tiny, traitorous flutter. The mattress dipped slightly as he sat beside me, and the faint rustle of the oil bottle breaking its seal sent a strange shiver through me. Then, warm hands touched my bare back, slow, deliberate, and gentle at first. His thumbs moved in soft, circling motions, melting away the tension in my shoulders. I sighed into the pillow, thinking only of how much I needed this. But then something shifted. His palms began to wander lower, the warmth spreading across my skin in a way that didn't feel purely about relaxation anymore. When his hands slid under the towel, brushing against my thigh, my breath caught in my throat. "What are you doing?" I whispered, my voice half curious, half breathless. "Keep quiet," he murmured near my ear, his tone deep and teasing. "Just take this." And despite myself, despite the protest that formed but never escaped my lips, a smile tugged at the corners of my mouth. Because the truth was, I always enjoyed when he surprised me like this, when a simple moment between us turned into something more. The air in the room felt thicker now, charged with something unspoken. Each stroke of his hands carried a new meaning, every breath I took seemed to pull me deeper into that slow-building tension. It wasn't just a massage anymore. It was a wordless conversation, a dance of trust and teasing between two people who knew each other better than anyone else ever could. And somewhere inside me, I knew, this night was only just beginning. The massage oil glistened softly under the lamplight as his hands moved in slow, steady circles across my back. The rhythm was hypnotic, almost lulling, yet beneath that calm touch, I felt something deeper stirring. Every pass of his fingers seemed to linger a heartbeat too long, every breath he took felt closer than before. "You always know how to make everything feel better," I murmured into the pillow, my voice barely above a whisper. He chuckled softly, the sound warm and low. "Maybe it's because I know exactly where you hold all your stress." His hands slid down to the small of my back, pausing there, just enough to make me wonder if he'd go further. And then he did. His fingertips brushed the edge of the towel again, tracing the outline of my thigh with deliberate slowness. My breath hitched, and I turned my head slightly, catching his gaze over my shoulder. The look we shared was brief but electric, the kind of glance that says far more than words ever could. "Are you sure this is still part of the massage?" I teased, my lips curving into a small smile. "Maybe," he said, leaning closer until I could feel his breath warm against my ear. "Or maybe I'm just taking care of you in my own way." The air between us thickened. I could feel my heartbeat pick up, feel the warmth spread beneath my skin. A part of me wanted to shift, to stop this before it became something more, but another part, a quieter and far more honest part, didn't want it to stop at all. His hands continued their slow exploration, brushing gently over my skin, pausing just long enough to make me ache for the next touch. Every movement carried a question, and every breath I took felt like an answer I wasn't ready to say out loud. I reached back without thinking, my fingers brushing his wrist, a tiny gesture, but one that told him everything. He stilled for just a second, as if asking silently if this was okay. I didn't pull away. The room was silent except for the rain and the sound of our breathing. He leaned down, so close that his lips almost touched the back of my shoulder. "Tell me to stop," he whispered. I didn't. And then his lips brushed my skin, soft, fleeting, barely a kiss, but enough to send a ripple of warmth through me. It was small, almost nothing. Yet it felt like the beginning of something neither of us could turn away from now. The room felt smaller now, as if the walls had shifted closer without either of us noticing. The rain outside had grown heavier, a steady rhythm that matched the thudding in my chest. His lips had barely brushed my shoulder, but that single touch still lingered on my skin, warm, electric, impossible to ignore. I turned slightly, just enough to see his face clearly. He was watching me, his eyes darker than usual, searching mine for something unspoken. For a long moment, neither of us said anything. It was just the hum of the rain, the quiet of the room, and the heavy weight of everything we weren't saying. "This feels different," I whispered, not trusting my voice to be any louder. His gaze softened. "Because it is." That simple admission made my breath hitch. Because he was right, it was different. It wasn't just a massage anymore, and it wasn't just playfulness. It was something deeper, something that tugged at a part of me I didn't want to admit existed. I closed my eyes, trying to steady myself. "He's my husband," I reminded myself. This shouldn't feel complicated. But somehow, it did. There was loyalty here, years of shared life and trust, but there was also this growing storm of desire that was harder to contain with each passing second. His hand moved again, sliding down the curve of my back, stopping just shy of where skin met towel. My body reacted before my mind could catch up, leaning into the touch, craving more. He must have felt it too because he froze for a moment, his breath shaky. "Maybe we should stop," he murmured, though even he didn't sound convinced. "Do you want to?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. His eyes met mine again, longer this time, deeper. "No," he admitted. "But I don't want to rush something we can't undo." The space between us was now charged with something magnetic. Every accidental brush of his fingers felt deliberate. Every glance lingered too long. I shifted slightly, and his hand grazed my thigh again, light, trembling, as if he was fighting himself with every inch. We both leaned closer without meaning to. His forehead almost touched mine. Our breaths tangled in the small space between us. One more inch, one small decision, and we'd cross a line neither of us could uncross. But we didn't. We stayed there, suspended in that heartbeat, trembling on the edge of something forbidden and beautiful. And in that breathless silence, the story held its breath with us, waiting to see which way we'd fall. The room had fallen into a silence so thick it felt like sound itself had stopped breathing. The rain outside became the only rhythm, steady and insistent, a heartbeat against the glass. Inside, our own heartbeats were just as loud, tangled and uneven, quickening with every inch we moved closer. He was still kneeling beside me, his face just a breath away from mine, and I could feel the warmth of him radiating across the narrow space between us. Neither of us spoke. Neither of us dared. It was as if a single word might shatter the fragile thread of control we were both clinging to. I swallowed hard and let out a soft, shaky laugh, the kind that happens when nerves and anticipation twist together. "We're ridiculous," I whispered, trying to steady myself. "Maybe," he murmured back, his lips curving into a faint smile. "But I'm not sure I care." Something about the way he said it, low, quiet, almost reverent, made my breath catch. The towel slipped slightly as I shifted to face him fully, and his hands instinctively reached out to steady me. Fingers brushed skin. Skin remembered touch. And suddenly, even that small contact felt impossibly intimate. He didn't pull his hands back. Instead, they lingered, one resting lightly on my waist, the other hovering at my thigh as if afraid to go further but unable to let go. His eyes searched mine, asking questions he didn't have the courage to voice. I didn't have answers, only feelings, too many of them. The warmth spreading through my chest. The nervous flutter in my stomach. The undeniable pull that made the space between us shrink until his breath was ghosting against my lips. We both laughed again, softly, nervously, the kind of laughter that only happens when two people know exactly what they're about to do but are still pretending they might not. "Are we really doing this?" I whispered, my voice trembling. "I don't know," he said honestly, his forehead resting gently against mine. "But I know I don't want to stop." His thumb traced slow, careful circles against my skin, and my pulse stuttered beneath his touch. The world outside, the rain, the night, everything, faded until all that existed was this, his closeness, his breath, the soft hitch in both our lungs as the moment built higher and higher. Our lips hovered dangerously close now, so close I could feel the faint brush of his breath against my mouth. One small movement and everything would change. And then, we didn't move. We stayed right there, trembling on the edge of something inevitable, suspended in the breath before everything shifted. The air between us felt ready to break, one more breath, one more heartbeat, and we'd be past the point of return. His forehead rested against mine, our lips hovering too close for comfort, our hands tangled somewhere between hesitation and surrender. And then, just as the world felt small enough for only the two of us to exist in it, a sound shattered it. A soft knock. Then another. We froze. "Are you two still awake?" came a familiar voice from the hallway, his sister, staying with us for a few days. He pulled back just an inch, eyes wide, breath caught in his throat. My heart slammed against my ribs so hard I thought she might hear it through the door. Yeah," he called out, his voice steadier than he looked. "We're fine. Just talking." "Okay," she said cheerfully. "Good night." The silence returned, heavier now, but not gone. Instead, it wrapped around us with new tension, sharper and deeper than before. The interruption should have broken the spell. It should have snapped us back to reality. But it didn't. If anything, it made the pull stronger. I laughed softly, more from nerves than anything. "We should probably stop," I whispered. "Probably," he agreed, his voice barely audible. But his hands didn't move. Neither did mine. We stared at each other, the truth hanging heavy between us. We could stop. But neither of us wanted to. And beneath that, there was something else too. Something we had never spoken about. "Do you ever think," I began quietly, "that we hold too much back?" He looked at me for a long moment, his thumb brushing absent circles against my waist. "All the time," he admitted. "I think about how many times I stop myself. How many times I want to just forget everything else. Even if it's risky?" I asked. "Especially then." That truth, raw, simple, terrifying, left me breathless. Because I felt the same. This wasn't just about touch or desire. It was about the way we'd both spent so long tiptoeing around the edges of something deeper, something that scared us because of how real it was. His hand slid gently up my spine, and I shivered under the weight of it. Every brush of skin against skin felt louder now, more dangerous. The knock on the door, the reminder that someone else was just down the hall, it should have been a reason to stop. But instead, it became the reason we couldn't. He leaned closer again, slower this time, his breath trembling as it mingled with mine. "Tell me to stop," he whispered. But I didn't. Because I couldn't. Our eyes locked, searching one last time for hesitation. There was none. Only hunger. Only love. Only the aching need that had been building between us, unstoppable now. And then, finally, we stopped resisting. The space between us vanished, the distance collapsed. His lips found mine, soft at first, trembling, then deeper, hungrier, as if all the hesitation of the past had broken loose at once. The kiss wasn't just desire. It was surrender. It was everything we'd been too afraid to say. And in that breathless moment, the world outside ceased to matter. There was only us, and the truth we could no longer hide from. The kiss started soft, hesitant, trembling, as if we were both afraid the world might collapse if we gave in too quickly. But once it began, there was no going back. Every second that passed seemed to peel away the layers of restraint we'd wrapped around ourselves. His hands framed my face gently, almost reverently, before sliding down to my waist. I felt myself leaning into him, every part of me magnetically drawn closer. The rain outside thundered louder now, but inside the room, there was only the sound of our breaths, short, uneven, desperate. All the tension that had been building for so long came undone in waves. Every brush of his lips, every small sigh against my mouth, felt like a confession. I could feel his heartbeat racing beneath my palms, matching my own, both of us caught in a pull too strong to resist anymore. "I shouldn't want you this much," I whispered between kisses, my forehead pressed to his. "But you do," he breathed back, his voice raw and trembling. "And so do I." It wasn't just passion now, it was deeper than that. It was years of closeness, of shared history, of quiet moments and unspoken words, all colliding into this one unstoppable force. The intimacy wasn't rushed or wild, it was slow and deliberate, each touch a choice, each kiss a promise. And then came the twist neither of us expected. As we pulled back for breath, eyes still locked, he whispered, "I want more than just this. Not just tonight, all of it. Every part of you." The words hit me harder than any kiss could. They weren't just desire, they were something far more terrifying, love laid bare. My heart stumbled in my chest as I searched his face, trying to see if he meant it. He did. Completely. It wasn't just a moment anymore. It was a choice. A turning point. I cupped his face gently, our foreheads pressed together once more. "Then don't let go," I whispered, the words trembling but certain. "I won't," he promised. And then our lips met again, deeper, fiercer, everything we'd been holding back finally released. The kiss wasn't just about desire now. It was about every heartbeat that had led us here. It was about trust, vulnerability, and the terrifying beauty of what came next. The night outside roared on, but inside, everything felt quiet, like the world had narrowed to just the two of us and the moment we could no longer fight. And as his arms wrapped around me, pulling me impossibly close, I knew nothing would ever be the same again. The rain had slowed to a gentle drizzle by the time our breath steadied again. The world outside felt still, as if time itself had paused to give us this moment. We stayed wrapped in each other's arms, foreheads resting together, eyes closed, no words spoken, none needed. The storm inside us had finally broken, and in its place was something quieter, deeper, something that felt a lot like peace. I traced slow, lazy circles on his chest with my fingertips, feeling his heartbeat beneath my touch. It was still racing, but softer now, not frantic with desire, but steady with something that would last far beyond this night. "Do you realize what just happened?" I murmured, half teasing, half awed. He smiled, brushing a stray strand of hair from my face. "I think I fell for you all over again." The words made me laugh, a soft, breathless laugh that carried more truth than I was ready to admit. Because he was right. It wasn't just about attraction anymore. It wasn't even just about love. It was about rediscovering something we'd both forgotten in the rush of life, the magic of choosing each other again and again, even after the years, even after the quiet distance that sometimes slipped between us. We stayed close, our bodies still touching in small, comforting ways, a hand resting on a hip, a knee brushing against the other's leg, our breaths sinking in an unspoken rhythm. It was intimacy that didn't need words or grand gestures. It was enough just to be here, tangled in warmth and trust and everything we were too afraid to say before. "I don't want this night to end," I whispered. "Then it doesn't have to," he replied, pressing a soft kiss to my temple. "We just start again tomorrow." And somehow, that simple promise felt like the most romantic thing I'd ever heard. The rain tapped lightly against the window again, as if applauding the quiet beauty of what had unfolded. I closed my eyes, letting the weight of the moment settle over me, the warmth of his body against mine, the steady beat of his heart, the lingering electricity of everything we'd shared. This wasn't just a night of passion. It was a story, ours, and it wasn't ending here. It was only just beginning again, stronger and more real than ever before. And as the last of the tension melted away, I realized something simple and unforgettable. Sometimes, the most powerful kind of love isn't the one that starts with fireworks. It's the one that lingers quietly long after the sparks have faded.